cold, open hook.
What if the biggest reason you're not successful is not your lack of talent, not your lack of money, not even your lack of opportunities, but something so small, so simple, you've been ignoring it every single day? Think about your daily life, the small decisions you make without thinking, skipping that one workout, scrolling just a little longer, delaying something important, just once. It doesn't feel like it matters, because in that moment, it doesn't. But what if success is not built on massive actions, not on big breakthroughs, not on sudden changes, but on tiny choices repeated over time? Choices so small you barely notice them, but powerful enough to shape your entire future. Because every single day, you're making decisions, and those decisions are quietly adding up, building something or breaking something. And what if those small choices are either building your future or quietly destroying it? Because the truth is, success isn't about what you do once. It's about what you do every single day.
The invisible power, the compound effect, is simple, almost too simple. Small actions, repeated consistently, create massive results. One extra page read, one short workout, one small improvement. Doesn't feel like much. In fact, it feels like nothing. And that's the problem. You don't see it happening. There's no instant reward, no dramatic change, no visible progress. Day 1 feels the same. Day 10 feels the same. Even day 30 feels the same. So your mind starts questioning, is this even working? Is this worth it? Why am I doing this? And slowly, you stop. You quit. Not because it didn't work, but because you couldn't see it working. Imagine planting a seed. You water it every day. You take care of it. But for days, nothing happens. No growth, no change, just soil. But beneath the surface, something is happening. Roots are growing. Strength is building. Foundation is forming. Silently. That's how success works. Not loud, not instant, but quietly, consistently. Every small action, every repeated habit is stacking, building something you can't yet see. And the moment you finally notice it, it's no longer small. So what happens next when these tiny actions start to grow? The ripple effect. Every action you take, no matter how small, creates a ripple, like a single drop of water falling into a still lake. At first, it seems insignificant, just one small drop. But then, the ripples begin, spreading outward, wider, further, touching everything around it. That's exactly how your actions work. One small habit leads to another. One good decision makes the next one easier. You exercise once, you feel better. You eat better. You become more disciplined, more focused, more consistent. But the same is true for the wrong choices. Skip one task, delay one responsibility. It feels harmless, but it leads to another delay, another excuse, another missed opportunity. And before you realize it, it becomes a pattern. Good choices create positive outcomes. Bad choices create negative outcomes. But here's the truth most people miss. Both grow over time. That one small habit you repeat daily doesn't stay small. It expands. It compounds. It shapes your identity, your results, your future. And that's where the power lies. Because this principle works for you, or against you. It's the danger and the opportunity. Every small action you take today is creating ripples in your future. So what happens when these ripples keep growing, but you still can't see the results? The plateau of latent potential. Success is not instant. It doesn't arrive overnight. It doesn't reward you immediately. Because success is delayed. You start working. You put in the effort. You try to improve. Day after day, you show up. You expect something to change. But nothing does. No results. No recognition. No visible progress. Just effort. And silence. That's when doubt begins. Is this even working? Am I wasting my time? Should I just stop? And slowly, your motivation fades. This is the plateau. The place where effort and results don't seem to match, where nothing appears to be happening. But beneath the surface, everything is happening. Skills are building. Habits are forming. Strength is growing. You just can't see it yet. And this is where most people lose. Not because they failed, but because they stopped. Most people quit here. Winners, they understand something different. They don't expect instant results. They trust the process. They keep going, even when there's no visible progress, even when it feels pointless, because they know what looks like nothing is actually everything. And then, one day, it happens. Results appear. The growth becomes visible. Breakthrough finally comes. Because success was never missing. It was just building in silence. So when you reach the plateau, don't stop. Push through. Because what comes after this phase changes everything. The power of habits. Your habits shape your life. Not occasionally, but every single day. Not your intentions, not your goals. Your habits. Because intentions feel good. You plan, you promise, you imagine a better future. But intentions don't execute. Habits do. What you do daily, even when no one is watching, that's what defines you. The small actions you repeat, without thinking, without effort, without resistance. Over time, they become automatic. And what's automatic becomes your identity. Read daily, you become a learner. Exercise daily, you become disciplined. Focus daily, you become powerful. Not instantly, but inevitably. Because habits compound. Each repetition adds another layer, another step, another improvement, another piece of your future self. But remember, this works both ways. Negative habits also shape your identity. Slowly, quietly, powerfully, until they define you. That's why small habits create big identity. You don't become successful overnight. You become it through what you repeatedly do. So if you want to change your life, start with your habits. Because change the habit and you change who you become. But what happens when those small habits are negative and you don't even realize it? The danger of small bad choices. The compound effect works both ways, not just for success, but for failure too. Skip one workout, eat one unhealthy meal, procrastinate once, ignore one opportunity. It feels harmless, almost insignificant, because in the moment, nothing really happens. No instant consequence, no visible damage, no warning signs. But here's where it changes. Repeat it again and again and again. And suddenly, it's no longer a choice. It's a habit. One skipped workout becomes a week. One delay becomes procrastination. One bad decision becomes a pattern. And over time, that pattern becomes your lifestyle. It becomes your life. And one day, you look back and wonder, how did I end up here? Not realizing it wasn't one big mistake. Failure is not one big decision. It's many small ones, tiny choices, repeated daily, ignored until they define your direction. And that's the hard truth. Your life right now is the result of your repeated choices, not your intentions. But here's the powerful part. If small bad choices can destroy your future, then small good choices can rebuild it. So don't underestimate the small things, because they're never small. So what happens when you start making the right choices consistently? How powerful can that become?
Momentum.
Success builds momentum. Not instantly, but gradually. Like a snowball rolling downhill. At the beginning, it's small, barely moving. You push it, and it feels heavy. Progress is slow, almost invisible, sometimes frustrating. But you keep going. You show up again. You repeat the action, day after day, step after step. And something begins to change. The snowball starts to grow. It gets bigger, heavier, stronger. And now, you're not pushing it as hard. It starts rolling on its own. Faster, stronger, more powerful. Until eventually, it becomes unstoppable. That's how success works. At first, it demands effort, discipline, patience. But once momentum builds, it starts working for you. Because consistency creates power. Every small action, every repeated habit adds to your momentum, even when you don't notice it. So don't stop when it's slow.
quit when it's hard. Because that's exactly when momentum is building. But how do you make sure you stay consistent long enough to build that momentum?
Tracking and awareness. You can't improve what you don't track. It sounds simple, but it changes everything. Most people live on autopilot. They act without noticing, react without thinking, repeat patterns without ever questioning them. But the moment you become aware, your behavior begins to change. Because awareness creates control. Track what you eat, you start eating better. Track your time, you stop wasting it. Track your habits, you become intentional. Because when something is visible, it becomes real. And when it becomes real, you take responsibility. So measure your habits, not occasionally, daily. Write them down, count them, observe patterns. Notice what's helping you and what's holding you back. Because tracking creates feedback, and feedback creates improvement. You adjust, you refine, you grow. And slowly, your life stops being random and starts becoming intentional. Track your actions, and you control your direction. Control your habits, and you control your results. There's something even more powerful than tracking. Something that shapes your choices before you even make them.
Environment shapes you.
Your environment controls your choices more than you think. We like to believe that success comes from strong willpower, from discipline, from pushing ourselves harder. But look closer. Every day, you're being influenced by the people around you, by the space you live in, by the content you consume constantly. People, the conversations you have, the energy you absorb, the standards you accept. Surroundings, your workspace, your home, the level of order or chaos around you. Inputs, what you watch, what you scroll, what you listen to, what you feed your mind. You may not notice it, but it shapes your behavior, your thoughts, your decisions, your habits. Stay around focused people, you become focused. Stay in a cluttered environment, your mind feels cluttered. Consume negative content, your thinking becomes negative. That's why the fastest way to change your behavior is not to force yourself, but to change your environment. Remove distractions, focus improves. Surround yourself with growth, you start growing. Design your space for success, success becomes easier. Because your environment either supports your goals or silently works against them. So take control. Choose your environment. Shape your surroundings. Upgrade your inputs. Because when you change what's around you, you change what's within you. And that changes everything. So what does life look like when your habits, environment, and actions all start working together?
Living the compound effect.
Imagine your life, not driven by pressure, not controlled by chaos, but guided by clarity. You wake up each day knowing exactly what to do. Not everything, just the right things. Small actions, aligned daily. Not random, not scattered, but intentional.
No shortcuts, no hacks, no chasing quick results. Because you understand something most people don't. Real success is built slowly, quietly, step by step. Just consistency. Showing up, doing the work, repeating the process. Day after day, week after week, even when no one is watching. And something changes inside you. You stop chasing results and start trusting the process. You stop feeling overwhelmed and start feeling in control. Your habits align, your environment supports you, your actions move you forward. Everything starts working together. And that's when growth becomes different. Not forced, not temporary. Inevitable. You don't need motivation every day. You don't need to feel inspired because your system carries you. And over time, those small actions become massive results. That's what it means to live the compound effect. A life where progress is guaranteed because consistency never stops. And when you truly understand this, your entire future changes. One small step at a time.
Final transformation. Your life doesn't change overnight. Not in a moment, not in a breakthrough. It changes over time, quietly, gradually, almost invisibly, through small choices. The decisions you make every single day, what you choose to do, and what you choose to ignore. Repeated daily. Not one big action. Not one lucky moment. Not one sudden success. Because success is not one big moment. It's not a single victory. Not a single achievement. Not one defining day. It's thousands of small moments, small efforts, small decisions, small improvements, stacked, layered, repeated, done consistently. That's what creates change. And that means your future is not decided by chance. It's decided by your habits, your actions, your daily choices. So look at your life right now. What are your daily actions building? Success or regret? Because in the end, you don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. So choose wisely and start small. But start today.